The International Labour Organization is a United Nations agency dealing with labor issues, particularly international labor standards and decent work for all. 185 UN member states are members of the ILO.
The people that are suffering have one place, at least in the international community, that is linked to them. One place. And that place is the ILO.
The ILO was established as an agency of the League of Nations following World War I. Its founders had made great strides in social thought and action before 1919. The core members all knew one another from earlier private, professional, and ideological networks in which they exchanged knowledge, experiences, and ideas on social policy. Pre-war epistemic communities such as the International Association for Labor Legislation, founded in 1900, and political networks such as the Socialist Second International were a decisive factor in the institutionalization of international labor politics. In 1969, the organization received the Nobel Peace Prize for improving peace among classes, pursuing justice for workers, and providing technical assistance to other developing nations. The ILO is a specialized technical agency of the United Nations system and the principal center and authority in the international system on labor and social policy. It is devoted to advancing opportunities for men and women to obtain decent and productive work in conditions of freedom, equity, security, and human dignity.
There is nothing more fundamental than a good-paying job.
The ILO is a very distinctive multilateral organization because it brings together government, business, and labor. In that sense, it brings together all aspects of society.
For us, employment is synonymous with peace.
The ILO's decent work agenda really touches the core of people's lives and aspirations.
It is up to us to create a global growth economy, one that will give people the jobs they need to support their families and improve their lives.
I believe what the ILO is trying to promote, and that is the decent work agenda, is still very much relevant.
From a human rights perspective, decent work is an essential component because it's part of human dignity.
Today, the ILO continues to promote the values we share, the rights we all must respect.
Its main aims are to promote rights at work, encourage decent employment opportunities, enhance social protection, and strengthen dialogue in handling work-related issues. Its 183 member states seek to ensure that international labor standards are respected both in principle and practice. Assisted by a secretariat, the International Labour Office headquartered in Geneva, to date, 188 conventions setting out basic principles and rights at work have been drawn up by ILO constituents. Unlike other United Nations specialized agencies, the International Labour Organization has a tripartite governing structure representing governments, employers, and workers, usually with a ratio of 2:1:1. The rationale behind the tripartite structure is creation of free and open debate among governments and social partners.
It was encouraging to note how the institutions of the world of work, employers' organizations, trade union organizations, were present at the high-level dialogue, and I think this reflects two things: their centrality to the issues under consideration, but also, and I stand to be corrected, but I'm confident that I will not be corrected, their willingness to engage actively and wholeheartedly in addressing the issues before us.
The ILO Secretariat staff is referred to as the International Labour Office. The ILO organizes the International Labour Conference in Geneva every year in June, where conventions and recommendations are crafted and adopted. Also known as the Parliament of Labour, the conference also makes decisions about the ILO's general policy, work program, and budget. Each member state has 4 representatives at the conference, 2 government delegates, an employer delegate, and a worker delegate. All of them have individual voting rights and all votes are equal. Regardless of population of delegates member state, the employer and worker delegates are normally chosen in agreement with the most representative national organization of employers and workers. Usually, the workers' delegates coordinate their voting, as do the employers' delegates. All delegates have the same rights and are not required to vote in blocks.
We have had a record 4,718 registered delegates here, including 156 ministers.
The ILO country office for Pakistan was set up in 1970 in Karachi and later moved to Islamabad, where it is housed in its own building on land donated by the government of Pakistan. The ILO's major work in Pakistan has covered a wide range of activities: promotion of international labor standards, prevention and elimination of child and bonded labor, job creation through employable skills, mainstreaming gender equality, strengthened labor market governance, employment and livelihoods recovery in response to conflict and crises, expansion of social security schemes and social safety nets, especially in the informal economy, and the promotion of tripartism and social dialogue.
Entrepreneur and labor, they are both wheels of the same cart. It cannot happen that one wheel is moving faster than the other. They have to move in the same speed. Otherwise, there will be an imbalance. There will be crash.
जो बच्चियां ट्रेनिंग ले रही हैं, ये इससे पहले खेतों में काम करती थीं और कोई घरों पे जाकर काम करता था, सफाई का काम करता था। ये बच्चियां अब हुनर लेकर इस काबिल हो गई हैं कि ये अपनी इज्जत के साथ, मेहनत के साथ और रिस्पेक्ट के साथ पैसा कमा सकती हैं, अपने घर चला सकती हैं।
Pakistan has been an important and active member of state of the ILO since its inception in 1947 and has ratified 36 conventions, including the 8 core conventions. Representatives of the government, employers, and workers' organization have served repeatedly on the ILO's governing body over the years. It has completed many programs for the betterment of labor force in Pakistan, especially for combating child labor, and successfully get rid of child labor almost 100% from leather industry in Sialkot. Its most recent project is elimination of worst form of child labor from Pakistan, yielded good results.
खेतों में स्प्रे करता था। PRSP वालों ने, ILO ने सेंटर खोला। मैं तालीम हासिल करता हूँ।
मेरा नाम निजमा है। मैं खेतों में बच्चा तोड़ती जो इधर स्कूल खुला में पढ़ती थी। मैं टीचर बना।
मैं सुबह के वक्त तंबाकू की कली तोड़ता था। अब बस्ती बाफरीद में स्कूल खोला तो मैं वहीं पढ़ता हूँ।
Combating Abusive Child Labor 2 project during the last few years has made a lot of achievements. One of such achievements is the establishment of provincial child labor units in 4 provinces.
In Pakistan, we have been supporting a special program to combat the worst cases of child labor. We're doing this to the tune of about 5 million euros. It's a program that is implemented by the ILO in 2 provinces and 2 specific districts. And the objective is that at least 10,000 children are saved.
Nobody alone can eliminate child labor. There is a joint effort. The government has ratified this fundamental convention, international treaties dealing with child labor. One fixing the minimum age of admission to employment, Convention 138, and the other one to fight the worst form of child labor. So this is the kind of commitment that the government has given towards the international community to fight against this problem.
Why these children are important? Because they are the future of Pakistan. They will ensure the progress and security of this country. But for this, they have to be sent to schools instead of working in fields and industries. Pakistan is doing a lot to eliminate child labor from the country, and this project has contributed a lot in this field. Shabbir Ahmed, PTV World, Islamabad.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to another show of Diplomatic Enclave. I'm your host Umar Khalid Butt. During the course of this series, we've been interviewing different ambassadors and representatives of organizations that are established in Pakistan. One of them is the United Nations. And tonight, I have the pleasure of interviewing the representative of the International Labour Organization in Pakistan, His Excellency, I would say, Mr. Francesco Dovidio. Mr. Dovidio, welcome to our show and thank you to have given us the time. Firstly, tell us one thing. The ILO is established in Pakistan even since before the independence, that is 1919, even before the United Nations came into effect. Could you tell us something about that?
Yes, the International Labour Organization is what we call an old lady in the United Nations system. She's almost 100 years old. She's 95, turning 95 this year. Established, as you rightly said, in Geneva in 1919, in the aftermath of the World War I. The reason was because, you know, the disaster created after the First War, people thought it was necessary to come to terms with the issue of labor, because the peace and last development peace would depend on a stable and decent work for everyone. They immediately realized those powers at that time they came out of the war, those that won the war and they lost the war, it was necessary to have some agreement about the minimum standards at work, just to keep people busy with the decent employment so that they don't get occupied with the terrible issues like war and terrorism and so on. So that is why it is so old, 1919.
Okay. Well, the ILO is established since 1919, but how long have you been here in Pakistan?
Oh, myself, I've been here for 3 years.
Okay.
It will be 3 years in June 2014. I reached in June 2011. So I'm really enjoying my stay here in these beautiful countries and beautiful city of Islamabad.
And how has it been so far for you? Have you visited some places? Have you kind of tried to witness things firsthand, how they go along in Pakistan, especially when it concerns labor?
Well, the day I came, I think it was the day in June 2011 when this famous 18th Amendment, the devolution of authorities to the provinces came about, at least in operational terms, right? So thanks to that, I was able and also obliged to travel a lot. I've been traveling extensively to the 4 provinces, mainly the capital of the provinces, Quetta, Peshawar, Lahore and Karachi. That's for work and also in different districts. And then for leisure, I enjoyed the north of Pakistan, Gilgit, Hunza, Basu, all these places and other places. Yes, I've been able to, as far as security is concerned, sometimes it is difficult. Sometimes the flight also, they don't go all the time because of the weather condition. But I would have liked to visit more of Pakistan. But for work, I'm away quite a lot. I have to work much more with the province than here in Islamabad.
So I've heard you are an avid sportsman. You do a lot of sports activities. Do you get time in here in Pakistan to pursue that?
Oh yeah, this is perfect. It's one of the best places for me to practice sports. For fundraising activity, we have a group of runners, of dashers, organized by different diplomats under I think the High Commission of Australia is one of those who's really taking care of us. We organize a lot of half marathons and in the Diplomatic Enclave, like the name of the program, but also in Constitutional Avenue and so on. This is for fundraising for the victims of the parents of the victims of the police who lost their life in duty.
Okay.
So we fundraise for that.
So you're quite a philanthropist yourself, but that is on a personal level. Let's talk about the ILO and ILO in Pakistan. What are the 4 areas of work that the International Labour Organization is working upon?
The ILO is a standard-setting organization. When it was created, since it was created in 1919 till now, more than 180 conventions, international labor standard came about, and these conventions are then ratified by the countries. Those countries who feel that they are able to implement the terms of this convention. So one aspect of our work is to support the countries in giving implementation to the convention that they have ratified. The second area of work is to work on social dialogue. The ILO is a tripartite organization. It's the only one in the UN system. Our constituents is not only the government of the host country, but also the workers and employer organization. So to ensure that the three the tripartite constituents of the ILO have a constructive dialogue in any area of work under labor. We work on social protection to extend social protection to everyone, more particularly to the most vulnerable part of the population and the workers. There's a lot that Pakistan is doing in that area. And then we work also on aspects related to many other aspects like labor migration, occupational safety and health. We will discuss about this, but these are the main area where we intervene. And employment, of course, is the fourth area of work, trying to promote employment through legislation and policy adequate to a different context.
Do you have any specific objectives as far as the ILO's role in Pakistan is concerned?
The objective and the ambition of this office here in Pakistan is to help the country in this transition of authorities between the federal level to the provincial level. Before, there used to be a federal ministry of labor and manpower at that time. There is no more, but there are departments of labor at provincial level. I think this has raised concern, but also great opportunities for the country, for the provinces, to come out with specific legislation and policies which are closer to the needs of the population and the more vulnerable workers. So for me, the ambition is really to accompany the country in this very, very delicate but extremely important transition.
You talk about this transitional phase after the 18th Amendment. Has it made the ILO's work more difficult because now the powers are with the provincial governments?
Well, we had to do our own devolution. In fact, we tried to rearrange ourselves, depute some of our staff in the provinces, traveling more. But it's, to me, honestly, it has been extremely rewarding. I don't know Pakistan before devolution, I might say, but discussing with my colleague, they realize how easy it is now to be in touch with the authorities at a higher level, at provincial level. We have different examples of, especially in some of the provinces, where even the political authorities there, they are so close now to the needs of the related to labor. So it has, to me, I see it really as an opportunity. Okay. Challenge remain, I must say, because sometimes this also has clarified that the country is not going at the same speed. I think we can say this. There are provinces that are running at a different pace than others, and the capacity also of the some of the staff, which is in the provinces, is not at the same level. I might say one concern is the turnover. I don't know in some provinces how many Secretary of Labor I had to meet and greet for the first time, again and again. This is a problem. Sometimes we realize that it is difficult to establish a strong relationship with our counterpart if they change all the time. So that's a pledge for having a more solid and sustained counterpart. Yes.
You talk about labor standards. How difficult or easy are they to implement in a country like Pakistan?
Well, Pakistan has ratified 35 international labor conventions, and has ratified all the 8 core labor standards, which are very demanding standards. Labor standards are minimum standard in general, so the country really has opportunity to improve even the content of these standards by its own legislation. But this being said, the convention regarding the elimination of child labor, the elimination of bonded labor, on social protection, as I said before, on social dialogue, on regarding freedom of association and collective bargaining, gender equality between men and women. These are extremely demanding conventions to be implemented. The country is improving, is showing progress, both in the implementation and also in the reporting. One of the aspects that was a little bit complicated once this devolution came out was the way the country was ready to report properly against, the way that they have been able to implement this convention. There was a little bit of missing link between the information that had to come from the provinces and the federal level, and then spread all the information to the international community. This was an issue we are trying to fix this.
Okay. So the South Asia Labour Conference is about to start in Lahore, if I'm not wrong. And this is the first time that such a huge conference on the aspect of labour is being organised in Pakistan. How do you see it, and how does the ILO intend to specify and project its different objectives in Pakistan during this conference?
This is one of the benefits of the evolution I was saying before. You see, is the government of Punjab organizing an international conference on a given matter on labor in this case. And this is truly due to the vision, I think, of the His Excellency Sarwar Saab, Ministry of Labor Punjab, who was taking the initiative to invite all his counterparts from India, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Afghanistan, and Bangladesh and Nepal to come here and discuss a lot of issues related to, very comprehensive issues related to labor. It's a great initiative. We are really looking forward to it. We are very grateful that Pakistan has taken this initiative. I think it will be an opportunity. I think it will create a platform to discuss the common gaps in the implementation of the laws that we were talking about before. There are a lot of commonalities in the regions, and there is also a way to collaborate and create a better partnership. So this will be a platform for them to show. We will take good practices from the different countries. I don't know, talking about occupational safety and health, you know about the disaster that happened in Rana Plaza in Bangladesh. We will hear from Bangladesh the way they've been coping to this, the reform that they are doing. They're quite advanced on this reform. This will also inspire, hopefully, Pakistan and other countries to take similar reform and so on. We are very excited to be next to the government of Punjab in organizing this.
And what are the different themes that will be touched upon apart from those that you've just mentioned?
Occupational safety and health, labor migration, labor market information system, social protection, vulnerable groups going through child labor, bonded labor, these issues, gender issues, and I think I'm missing one. It is about, the compliance with international labor standards. So it is quite comprehensive.
Mr. Doviodio, there are 10 different countries that are participating in such a huge conference that has been organized by the government of Punjab. Do you feel that the issues are similar in all these countries, or is it really specific to each country? There are certain issues that are specific to a country like Pakistan, others that are specific to India.
There are similarities and big differences. Also, the level of development, a level of compliance with the standards is not always the same. But let's think, for example, of labor migration. This is a theme which is in common with all the countries. South Asia is one of the most populated regions in the world, and providing a lot of manpower to many countries abroad, in the Gulf, but also in Europe, in America, and so on. And so these are common issues, because the workers that are facing, in some cases, difficult situation of integration and lack of knowledge of the labor market in the countries where they end up, exploitation in some cases, are very, very similar to the countries. And there is a will, and I'm also happy that the European Union is also co-founding this conference, because they see a need to strengthen really the working condition of these workers that are going abroad. Let's not forget the remittance issue, the way these workers are really benefiting of the growth of our country here in South Asia. This is very similar to all the countries. Then there are similarities due to the similar juridical environment, because this having been most of them with the British colonies in the past, so the legal system is not the same, but it's quite similar. So we have labor laws which have been developed in parallel ways in the different contexts. But we are talking about big powers here, India and Pakistan, and our countries that are leading in the world. Also, Pakistan being the 6th workforce in the world. So there are enormous issues and enormous opportunities that are coming out.
Mr. Doviodio, you were talking about the European countries and US being assisted by them. Let's talk about the GSP Plus status that Pakistan has acquired lately. Of course, that's a huge boost in our arm because there's the sector like the textile sector, the leather sector, other sectors that Pakistan can easily now export to the European countries.
Yes.
But how important is the implementation of labor laws when it comes to the GSP Plus status? Because, of course, Europe is very strict and stringent when it comes to that.
Yes, GSP Plus, the generalized system of preference of the EU, has been granted lately in the last month to Pakistan. It's an excellent achievement, showing, of course, that the progress that the country has done in these matters. But to maintain it, my counterpart in the government are telling me, we have to maintain this. Is very important. It's giving a boost in terms of financial, in this case, a fiscal boost to export. To maintain it, they are very strict. There are the 8 convention of the ILO that I was talking about before are part of the list of 22 convention of the GSP Plus. The review all this over time to see the progress against its implementation. So we have to be very careful. They will have to perform, keep on performing well and even better. GSP Plus is one aspect, so it has to do a lot with the compliance with international labor standards. But the world now is much more, the globalized work is moving in that direction. There are other indicators from the World Bank and in general from the UN that are related to human rights and to labor rights in particular that have to be respected now. And I must say that the perception that the world had about Pakistan was not very positive in the past. And now the country is really changing this. I was in Geneva a couple of weeks ago and I was discussing with the Department of Standards in Geneva. They say, oh, what's happening in Pakistan now? It's really great. The last time they came to Geneva, they have been so open. They are inviting mission from our experts to come and see what have been the progress so far. So it's really, really rewarding to see how the openness of the, I don't know if it's the current administration, but in general, of the business community of the country itself, they want to show that Pakistan can do better against these standards.
Mr. Dovidio, you've been here almost 3 years now. What are the specific areas or sectors that have been your forte during your tenure so far in the ILO in Pakistan?
I think I must say a couple of 2 or 3 sectors have been particularly close to my heart. Well, it's difficult to choose. All these are very, working
all your babies, of course.
Yes, all my babies, not mine, but of the organization, and also very passionate working on this aspect. But 2 or 3 of them are particularly close. One is about gender equality, the progress that we have done through our programs. One of our programs is funded by Canada in particular. They are creating a really new environment, the employability of women, even those were the most vulnerable ones, the capacity has been created in the institution to, I don't know, just to give you an example, the Punjab is coming out now with a new labor policy on Punjab labor policy. And they say now they fix for the first time a quota of 33% in all institutions for women. Or pro-women legislation is something that was not there only a few years ago. Now they are coming out. It's not only the work of the ILO, but the UN system overall, UN Women, UNICEF and UNESCO are working in this area. So that is extremely exciting. Child labor is another topic because this is I've been working on child labor issues in the past in other contexts, and this is also was considered Pakistan one of the biggest country having a presence of predominance of child labor. A lot has been done, and again I must say that Punjab and Sindh and other provinces are now taking up quickly. They are themselves financing founding programs to end child labor, and a lot of progress has been in the sense that before it was considered like something normal, something natural, that when a society is not as yet very solid in economic terms, they have to go through the children manpower and so on. This has changed now. The respect of the standards is there. We were talking about only in the past about children stitching balls in Sialkot for the football World Cup in the past. Now there is a monitoring system in Sialkot I visited a few months ago, and this is still going on after many years of intervention. And so the country is really taking over, and it's quite independent the way they are working.
And how is the implementation of the labor laws as far as the present government, that of the PMLN, is concerned? Do you feel that they're really genuine and sincere towards implementing these laws?
I might be cynical and say, it doesn't really matter if it's genuine. What is important if they really make a difference and come to terms with the implementation. But I can't say that because I really had a very good experience in the last 4 or 6 months with the secretaries at federal level, in particular of the Minister of Overseas Pakistan and Human Resource Development, who you can really say that people very senior and very well educated people who know inside out their country, what are the weaknesses, and they know exactly what they have to do to change the perception of the country abroad. So I think there has been a shift very clearly. I don't know if it's political, I don't know if it's the current administration, but probably the time has come. The ground is fertile.
Okay. One of the aspects that you work on is also the training of unions. It's very important, whichever sector that it be in the professional circle, whether it be textile or other sectors, the unions be properly trained so that they implement the labor laws in their different organizations. Yes. How does the ILO come into effect when it comes to this training?
Strengthening the capacity of the workers' organization, the unions, and providing them tools to make their own research, to come out with the reports, to unionize as more as they can, and to deal with the informal sector. Because 70% of the economy in Pakistan is made up of is still informal. And that means that a lot of work, the majority of workers cannot unionize. And it was felt in the past that this would have never happened. Let's think, for example, of the brick-kilns workers. They were like pariah, right, of the system. Like they had no cards, identity cards, no access to the different schemes, PESI, and others, and they were not unionized. And the workers, it was difficult for them to say, well, we intervene only in the formal sector. But now they create new cells. They have expanded their capacity to encompass also the informal sector. We work with, in particular, with the Pakistan Worker Federation. It's one of the federation of, pulling together a big number of. There are a lot of unions in Pakistan because of the size, of course, of the country. There are a lot of unions that are diversified from activity level, others geographically. Pakistan Worker Federation is an attempt to unionize many of them. So they are our main constituents. They sit in the governing body of the ILO in Geneva, and they discuss about these policies.
You talk about unions. From unions, of course, we talk about discussions and negotiations. Yeah. How important is the art of negotiations in countries, especially like Pakistan?
Yeah, you have to be very calm. Now, my nature doesn't really help being a Latin coming from Italy. Sometimes you have to learn this the hard way sometimes, but I really work in different environments. You really, first thing first, you just listen and don't try and understand. After 1 or 2 years, you need time to understand the context. But no, it's very exciting. Negotiation is key, and it's a never-ending exercise. I've seen this throughout my career, but especially now that I'm representing the organization here. The thing is that with the Pakistani, they speak so well, they are so good in oral skills and all that, that sometimes you think that everything is clear and it's done, you strike a deal. But then the devil is in the details sometimes, and you have to come back and keep on negotiating. You don't have to lose the momentum, you don't have to lose patience, because it's a process.
And how about labor inspection? How strict or forward are you when it comes to labor inspection in Pakistan?
Well, very important issue. Let's be very clear here. Labor inspection has been frozen for years, for a decade, more or less, and we have seen the negative consequence of this. When there is no labor inspection, the factories, they ask international brands or companies to come and certify their sites, their workplace. And this was the case, for example, when this fire took place in Karachi, killing almost 300 workers and in Badia town in Karachi. This is where what happened. There was this international company coming certifying that specific factory, saying, okay, you have to remove the bars from the windows, you have to take off the wood from the ceilings and other things. and then nobody was inspecting this. So the routine inspection is something that, accidents happen all the time. They can happen everywhere in the world. But in order to minimize such tragedies, the country is important as Pakistan, with the strength, the opportunity that Pakistan has in the industrial sector, have to have a very solid and routine inspection system. It's very
How
important.
much do you assist the government when it comes to policy making, especially in the areas such as labor?
Yeah, that is our role, mainly the assistance and policy, providing technical support. If they want to go for research, have a better understanding of what are comparative studies with other countries, other areas, statistics, all this, we provide this kind of information. At the end, it's their decision. We can just provide the tools and some tips and dialogue, as I said before, because that's the thing. I mean, it's good that it's not a decision taken only by the government. It's good that the workers, the employers, very extremely important, equally important, as they also have their say, because productivity is also very important. You can't only see a labor policy seen only from a worker perspective.
That's true.
Because that wouldn't work in a globalized work like this one. You also have to see the concerns of the employers themselves. And the government is there to regulate this. So we provide probably the platform and the catalyst role in putting all this advocacy together, and then at the end the country decides what's the best for them. I think it's very exciting, this.
Mr. Dovidio, how important is the role of the ILO in crisis situations? We've had many. We've had earthquakes. We've had other unfortunate incidents in Pakistan that could not be controlled. How important is the ILO's role there?
Correct. Unfortunately, Pakistan is a disaster-prone country when it comes to natural disaster. That's one, and also homemade disaster like terrorism and other situations. ILO is not immediately seen as a big player in a crisis like I don't know, the High Commission for Refugees or UNICEF, WHO, PWF, and these are those who really intervene massively with support, with logistical support, and with food, with health, and so on. The ILO, however, has been working on all this disaster in the past, starting from the earthquake in 2005, we started what is now quite huge, the Cash for Work program, providing immediately some cash to the workers, those who lost everything, but to rebuild their own communities. There is a system, certified system, which provides them immediately with something to spend, some cash to buy their needs for themselves and their families, providing the work that they need, and also coming out with a preparedness to in terms of construction and all that, so to avoid that the disaster take place.
Mr. Dovidio, the International Labour Day is coming on the 1st of May. How do you project your different objectives and the role that you're playing in the world and, of course, in countries like Pakistan through this very important day on the 1st of May?
1st of May is a Labour Day. It's something that usually the ILO has an observatory role.
Okay.
We don't use that. This is typically a worker celebration. I'm always invited, of course. The difference is to say something about that. But there is nothing special for the Labour Day. For us, it's a way through it's a way for the workers to raise that the history behind the Labour Day itself, to raise their issues. It's also important that because that day the issue that we were discussing, they are highlighted at a different level. So this is a great opportunity, as well as many other international days that are established. Like the International Day Against Child Labor, for example, which is on 12th of June. We will also celebrate that. The one on occupational safety and health, 28th of April, to raise awareness on all these issues. Every year there is a common different theme. We are going to organize this in Karachi on 28th, on Monday, next Monday. The Employers Federation of Pakistan is organizing this award, giving to some factories that been excelling in the safety of their production. So I'm very happy to be part of that, and I know they're very serious in the way they select.
But I think you are very serious as far as your roles and objectives are concerned, and that of course shows in what you've been doing in Pakistan. How is the intra-UN cooperation? Because of course there are different organizations. How do they work together? There's the one UN plan that has to be put into effect. How important is the cooperation between different organizations of the United Nations in that respect? And how do they help you, for example, in doing your different roles and pursuing your objectives in Pakistan?
Pakistan is, we call it delivery as one country, is one UN country There are 22 UN different agencies, I think resident agency, if I'm not mistaken. Here in Pakistan, it's almost all the agency. There is a resident coordinator, Mr. Timo Pakkala, who's the representative of Mr. Ban Ki-moon here in Pakistan. Us, all the head of agency, are part of the UN country team. We have shared strategic objective. Every agency has a specific role to play, and we come out with joint programs. Like, for example, the program we have on education, we have joint program with UNESCO on child labor. We have joint program with UNICEF, or on social protection is the same, or social protection in some case with PWF, with the WFP, and we have common campaign when UN AIDS when it comes to HIV/AIDS in the workplace. There are a lot of examples with the UNDP when it comes to poverty alleviation and also the other aspect. So it's well, with the FAO on rural development, we have a common program in Sindh, rural Sindh in Hyderabad, in other district next to Hyderabad, with FAO and also UN Women to strengthen the capacity of the rural population. There are a lot of opportunities.
One very quick answer to my last question, sir. How do you and where do you see the ILO in the next decade in Pakistan?
As I said before, I think the fathers of the ILO didn't really know how old the organization would have become. Now it's almost 100 years old. Look, the crisis that hit the world only in the last 4 or 5 years and even more has shown the relevance of this organization. If you don't go for a development which is centered to employment, with the human face of the workers and of the employers, we will create other bubble, financial bubble that are not really necessary for the real development. We need to anchor the development to the world of work.
So as Mr. The video very well said, we need to anchor this development process. The ILO is here to cooperate with Pakistan different fields to put into place a proper labor law to help the Pakistani nation and to help the labor workers in Pakistan in different fields to overcome their problems. I was in conversation with Mr. Francesco the video, the representative of ILO in Pakistan, and we hope to, of course, be bringing you more such programs in the future in this series that is Diplomatic Enclave. Umar Khalid Butt bids you farewell. Take care. Allah Hafiz.